the mistake I do think that he has made is not getting those ownership rights up front. You can't, and this is what I tell people in corporate America all the time who feel like they are safe in their corporate jobs. Everything you're working for somebody else. You cannot work for somebody else for several decades and then once things go badly, then demand ownership. You have to negotiate that ownership stake while you're negotiating your contracts. You have to ensure that when you have negotiating power, right now you've already been terminated. You do not have power. You cannot set any criteria. Viacom does not have to listen to anything that you have to say because you've been terminated. So it's important for us to understand, particularly in the African American community, stop looking for someone else's table to sit at. Stop being comfortable eating at somebody else's establishment. You have to establish these things for yourself. If you want to be in this entire, as Puffy tweeted out, for us by us space, that means you might have to suffer for a little while in the wilderness before things work out for you. And you cannot be comfortable with somebody else and then want to be critical of them once things do not work out.
The year is 1965, and Mr. Smith has worked for the same company for 35 years. Mr. Smith is set to retire in the next year and is looking forward to receiving his full pension, which will guarantee him an income stream for the remainder of his life. It's the reward and the benefit he receives from the company for his loyalty and his hard work for all those years. This pension payment will give him the comfort of a regular paycheck plus Social Security benefits during his retirement. But that's for him in 1965. But in 1978, Congress approved the Revenue Act of 1978, which birthed the 401k plan. No longer are companies responsible for your retirement, and no longer do they have to carry the risk involved with dealing with you. So my point of telling you guys this story is that jobs have drastically changed from the 50s, 60s, 40s, 30s. It used to be a time where it was easy. You go to school, you graduate, you get a good job, you get in with a good corporation, and they offered you a pension, they offered you so many holidays off, they offered you time with your family, they offered you certain medical benefits and different things like that. It was pretty easy. Kind of like my dad went through, your dad went through, your dad went through, and mom went through. It was easy. But I pose the question today, why does the modern job today suck? Are we working in an obsolete model? You know, these things that I speak of in this story, are they obsolete? Are they no longer existent? Are we stupid to keep going to these corporations and to these jobs that no longer care about the employee? They treat you like a piece of machinery. They don't care. They try to take everything they can. The pension was designed so they didn't have to be responsible for you anymore. So all those years of hard work, all those missing Christmas, all those missing Thanksgiving and holidays, and missing the baseball games, the football games, and spending time with your family, those days are over. It's all about what's best for the company and what's best for the shareholders. So I ask you, Jay, starting out, how do you feel about the modern day job society that we live in, the modern day job?
Well, when you think about the modern job, what was the main thing we used to hear on Friday?
Payday.
Well, and also
Friday night.
Payday.
right? And you would say, hey, thank God it's
Friday.
because you didn't work all those hours, Monday through Friday, and you know. But then you think about too, when is the last time you really heard somebody say, "Man, I love my job"? Like those are things that really resonate for me more so. And I'm saying that to say that I think it depends on your job and what you do. for you to say you love your job. Most people just go to work to provide for their family. I mean, that's the main thing. You don't really like your job or your employees or employer, etc. But looking at statistics, it says barely half the workforce was satisfied with the job in the 2016 survey. And then most jobs, they require so much of your time or overtime when you've already worked ample amount of hours on that job. So it really starts to take away, you build up more stress.
Yeah.
You take on more anxiety. So it's more or less what you do, and as well as is this your main end goal? Because I think basically, I guess the same for us with your question. A job is a job. You're not going to become rich on the job. You're going to get minimum wage enough to maybe, hopefully, to be sufficient for you and your family. It's not designed to make you rich, it's to make your boss rich. So if that's okay for you, then hey, do what you do. But to me, it's more of a means to get to my next point. Yeah, because I mean, especially when you have gifts and talents and things you can work on. So in order to get there, I feel like you got to have some starting point. Unless somebody is giving you money to become, to start some other business or creative avenue that you have and plan, then but otherwise you don't need to work a job.
So you agree that the modern day job is just a stepping stone now?
I think
it's not what it used to be.
No, I think it should be.
It's not a set it and forget it thing that it used to be.
Because I don't think they care about you as much. I mean, some jobs maybe they
don't care.
But it's more so the corporation. That's what that's what they're trying to protect in the image of that. So, you can work hard and think you're getting all this recognition. Then you got to deal with your colleague who's probably got some ill will towards you, want to knock you under. Or, and if you're on the bottom of the spectrum of this job, you're taking on more stress than anybody, because you're doing a lot of different things that the hierarchy people in the job aren't doing.
I'll tell you what, how do you feel about the modern day job?
Well, I'm look at the definition of job, but what I would say is jobs are a necessary evil, and I think jobs are, now the modern day version of the job is just that the person doesn't extract as much benefit
from the job as they did
in the past.
Mr. Smith did.
Oh, that's true.
And I would definitely agree with that. But jobs are necessary because at the end of the day, not everyone. You've heard of chiefs and Indians.
Right.
Not everyone can be the chief.
Right.
Rodney's point: do jobs carry the same benefit that they did previously? No. Now, there's really no real way to go back to an era like that because
of corporate greed.
Corporate greed, but the specialization, the what's the word I'm looking for? The
trade.
The trade of as far as what we do on that particular job, these are things now
that are being minimized.
They're being minimized, and they're not as important as like if you had a factory job today. A factory job 40 years ago,
you didn't have computers.
Yeah, you didn't have computers. There wasn't as much specialization, but a factory job 40 years ago was a great job.
Right.
Good job.
Oh, you worked at General Motors in the 50s and 60s. They needed you to actually screw that part in. They needed you to pick it up and carry it over. Yes. They don't need you to do that no more.
They don't need you to do that. Not only do they not need you to do that, that's considered unskilled now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas when you go back in the day, that may have been a skilled position, or it may have been a position that, hey, we got to have somebody who does this, on the assembly line. Now you have a fucking robot who does that 24/7. There's no appreciation for what it is that the modern man does with regard to that particular job. You know what I'm saying? So jobs to me, because I think there are a group of people who work a job because, you know, they feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. They're complacent, you know what I'm saying? And there's nothing to, you know, like I'm a dreamer. So as a dreamer, there are things that I want to ascertain, but like I look to as an ideal. You know what I'm saying? So there aren't any, when you talk about jobs today, there's no, the idealism associated with a job, you know, hey, you know, I graduated high school, I can work this job, I can provide for my family. And it's like, hey, you know, jobs now understand that, you know, as opposed to me paying you $15, $16, $20, $30 an hour, I can ship this job overseas, pay a dude not even half, a quarter of that. A quarter of that. Yeah, there you go. A fraction of that. And I can get these same results and maybe even more because he didn't have a union that says I can only work 8 hours a day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This nigga's making literally 30 cents an hour. He's going to work for 12, 14, 15, whatever. You know what I'm saying? In order to get the job done. So I think incentivization has taken priority over, you know, I was loyal to this company.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've worked here for 30 years. And, you know, by me working this job, not only has the company gained something, you know, by having my time and them caring about my time, but, you know, I've gained a level of livelihood. You know, now, because again, jobs aren't, they're just not looked at in the same manner that they were 20, 30 years ago. Our parents, you know, they grew up in a time when, for the most part, you could work a job. You know, you started a job, and not only did you start at that job, you ended at that job. 30, 40. Like, my father started working for the city in 1977. He retired in 2011, 2012. She's talking about 40 fucking years.
40 years of his life
You understand what I'm
that he
saying?
gave to the city of Houston.
Yes.
And I guess that brings me to my other point. After 40 years, and that's not to dig too deep off into his military status,
Come
but
on.
for 40 years later, what was the trade-off? What was the return? Just like, you know, because you're talking about money. You're going to work every day. Everybody's going
To get
for money.
paid. You're not doing it for free.
So if you were standing back as a financier or an investment person, if you were to look at that investment, if you say, okay, for 40 years, this is the return on your investment,
Right.
would that be a wise investment? Or would that have been a okay investment? Or would that have been a foolish investment? And my argument is that
Yeah, big guy did it.
the modern job is becoming to be a foolish investment
I
now.
love this nigga, man.
It's becoming to be a foolish investment because you're giving 30 to 40 years of your life, and at the end of
Giving that
it,
shit away.
what are you getting? What are you really gaining? Most people, they don't have pensions anymore. Pensions made it, they kind of tipped the balance a little bit with pensions. It made it a little fair. It's saying, hey, you know what? As a company, as a corporation, as General Motors, as Ford Motor Company,
You
I
sacrifice.
appreciate you.
We'll sacrifice for you for the rest of your life after you stop working.
Yeah, because
That's what we're going through at the post office. Right now, we're upside down because there are more people that don't retire from the post office, basically, and draw a pension, and they have to be compensated than it is people that actually work at the post office. And that's just not even, that's a microcosm of society in general. The baby boomers, there are a lot of them motherfuckers, man.
yeah,
It's not as many of us.
no,
So the benefits that they draw from Social Security and these pension funds that he's talking about
breaking.
is breaking. Like, I forget what year they said, but there's a year where Social Security is going to run out of money because there's so many baby boomers and the workforce can't support
They're not expecting them to live that long.
Right, that's the game.
They're hoping that
We're hoping you die. We hope that from working you to death. That's why they keep extending everything.
Yeah.
The retirement age used to be one age at one time, then they extended. People are living longer. Oh, we're going to extend it. So basically, instead of you working 30 years and saying you're done, I've done my due diligence. I work for you. I got up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning for 30 years. Now this is my time. I get to catch up with my kids or my grandkids. I get to go boating, fishing, whatever. They don't want that no more. They want it to the point where we're going to hold all this money for you. And we're going to extend the time frame that you can retire. If it was 62, we're going to extend it to 65. And we're going to extend it from 65 to 68. So now you're 68 and you say, whoo, finally, it's my last day at the job, I'm done. Now you're 68 years old, and depending on what you did for a living, if you worked in a coal mine, if you worked at a chemical plant, if you worked in the trucking industry, if you worked for the railroad, your back is bad. You've been exposed to chemicals, all kind of variable things that happen to you along the way. Now you're 68 years old. Just by, if you didn't do anything in life, you're still exposed to a certain, because our bodies are constantly decaying.
Right.
Every day that we wake up, you're decaying.
I'm definitely decayed matter over here.
Yeah, you look terrible.
So that's the
And the average man, you don't hear nobody. It's not a common story to hear, hey, this man, 105 years old, went jogging in Central Park. That's not a common story.
Right.
The average person, if you think about your uncle, your grandparents, whatever, a good long life is 80, 85, 90 years old. But more so 85. Anything after 80 and 85.
It don't sound like 75 to 80.
75 is really more common.
Yeah.
But 80, 85, you're doing good.
You're doing good.
You're doing good. And they don't expect you to live that long. So the average person, like you said, lives to be 70-something years old. But you just retired at 65. You just retired at 68. So what? 10 years I get to do what I want to do? Now you're finally saying at 68 or 65 or 62. Let's even go 62. This is where 401k kick in. Depending on what's going on in society and what's going on in the stock market, depends on how much you're gonna walk away with. Because if your time to retire just happens to fall in the middle of the coronavirus, in the beginning of the coronavirus, when the stock market tanked, well, your $500,000 that you had in the stock market and in your 401k, it just got cut down to $350,000. So now you got to try to retire and live off of $350,000. You don't have no retirement no more. You don't have a $350 and the job giving you, $1,200 a month or whatever they give you off your pension. You don't have that anymore. You're solely off your 401k, and that's the job saying, we're gonna match what you put up to a certain percentage. So basically we're topping out at 4%. I don't give a damn how much more you put in there. We ain't giving you no more than 4%. Now they send you out in the world. You used to, mostly what happens to most people, they get so accustomed to waking up every morning, doing a certain job, that when the company finally releases them, they're afraid. They don't know what else to do. They say, man, I don't want to go work at Walmart. I don't know what to do. I ain't got no hobbies because my job for 30 years didn't allow me to really have hobbies. I couldn't go boating. I couldn't go fishing because if I did, I might could go 2 days, but I had to go right back to work.
Right.
Or I had to go work overtime. Or I had to go do this. So all I know is going to work, working my schedule, plus a little overtime, take care of my family. And then after that, I don't know what else to do. Now they're afraid.
So old, you can't really enjoy.
Yeah, you old. And now you're sitting there saying, what am I going to do? Most people say, you know what? I'm not going to retire. I'm just going to keep on working. Why would I retire and go to Walmart to make $10 an hour when I can just keep my job that I've earned up to $30 an hour? I might as well just stay here. So then you pretty much die on the job.
Yeah.
You just keep working. Instead of being able to say, you know what? I worked 30 years. I've accumulated and because of my weekends off or because of my so many scheduled days I have off, I've developed a hobby to do this. I'm used to doing this, so I'm just gonna pick up and boost what I was doing on my days off. There is no work home life balance no more. No. They tell that lie when they give you that package and you sign in that deal. You say, oh yeah, I want to work for you. And what about your work life balance? We allow you off so many days. It's a lie. Because when you off, they calling you still. Well, so-and-so didn't come in. We need you to come in and cover for them.
The thing
you
about
just do
it,
that year after year. It's bullshit.
the thing about it, if you're not required, usually it's a requirement, but you have to sacrifice in the name of the job. The job doesn't have to sacrifice in the name of you anymore. See, and that's what when you talk about a pension, that's what a pension is. It's like, hey, you did this for us for 30 years.
You helped our bottom line for 30
yes,
years.
for 30 years. And because you did that, we're going to look out for you. We're going to make sure that you're okay. We're going to make sure that you and your family are all right. You know what I'm saying? That type of loyalty, you don't find that in the modern job market. You know what I'm saying? So when Rodney talks about, the modern job and why it sucks, it's because the relationship, the balance between employee and employer has tipped.
Yeah. It's diminished.
It's very diminished. It's not what it used to be, and
it's getting worse.
Yeah.
And that's in all facets of any job. I'm saying that now. Like, you see it with education, as far as what, Secretary of Education, what she's saying for everybody back in school. Like, you're not thinking about people, you're thinking about the dollar sign more so.
They've taken the humanity out of the whole working for a living thing. Everybody preaches, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Get a fucking job. That's what everybody says. But jobs ain't even what they used to be no more. Why should you? Me personally, I believe that life is a gift from God. And God gave you life. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whatever you are, everybody pretty much believes that there is a God, there is a higher power that is greater than us, that created this whole earth, that gave you life for the most part. Most people believe that. So if that's the case, and we read, especially if you're speaking from a Christian standpoint, you believe that life is a gift from God. You can't tell me that God gave me a gift, and my gift is to sweat, just sweat and work and be dictated to night and day. Hey, you be to work at 5 o'clock. You don't get off till 5 o'clock in the evening. You're gonna work from sun to sundown. You can't have this day off. You gotta come ask me permission to have this off. You gotta ask me permission to do this. Who wants to live a life like that when you're being dictated to your whole life? When you can take a vacation with your family, if you can leave work early, what time you get there, what time you leave. That's a bunch of bullshit.
But you knew what you were signing up for when you.
Right. That's why I say it goes on to the further point. Like he said, you have to do what you got to do, but where it comes in is that the business model of working a job is obsolete. The meaning of, hey, I'm going to set it and forget it, that's obsolete. Now, to work a job and try to make as much money as you can while you're there and then get the fuck out of there and go do something that you really love to do in life and spend your life of enjoyment. God has blessed all of us with talents. You just got to tap off into them, whether you're a singer, you're a writer, you're an actor, you're a comedian, whatever you got, God has given you some form of talent. You just got to tap off into it, and you got to have the courage to step out on that limb and say, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit.
Fuck you, man.
I'm just telling you, I got to. Because jobs are a necessary evil. Everyone cannot be the chief. Everyone cannot be the CEO of a company. Everyone does not have what it takes. Now, the difference today, to me, between jobs of old and jobs of today is the jobs, loyalty toward the employee who has sacrificed so many years of their life, so many different things that they've not been able to be a part of because they said, hey, you know what, this job is first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? That is the thing, to me, that has changed. You cannot have a society without specialization of that society. Doctors, lawyers, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that I'm not saying that a job is, a person's salvation. But what I'm saying is that jobs are necessary when you're talking about society in a way where you have people, like I can't do it all myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I may be a hunter, I may be an avid person who can butcher animals, but guess what? I may not have the ability to politically decide, this is what's best for us as a society. Or whatever.
Producers and
Well, I may be a coward, and I don't have the courage to pursue my dream.
There you go. That's true.
It's true.
That's very true.
It's the ugly side of it, but it's true.
That is the ugly side of it. But does that mean that that person who is a coward and doesn't have the audacity to pursue what it is that they're trying to pursue, does that mean that what they do is not relevant? Does that mean that their position is, less important than a person who says, fuck it, I'm going to throw balls to the wall and I'm going to get out here on my own and I'm going to do it? You see, it's not, to me, it's not so much that jobs aren't needed. It's just that the way we go about them now, you know what I'm saying? It's just very
It's very one-sided.
Very one-sided.
If you look at the current stock market right now, we're in the midst of a pandemic.
Correct.
And a lot of people are out of work. We got, I think at one time, I don't know what it is now, but I remember the last time I checked, it was 40 million people unemployed.
Yeah.
It was companies and restaurants and stuff that were open up to 25% capacity. Movie theaters ain't open no more.
Correct.
Movie production companies ain't.
They
There's so
ain't
many
even making
businesses
them
that are not
yet.
even
Correct.
at full swing anymore.
Correct.
But if you notice,
They're correct.
Elon Musk has got richer. Jeff Bezos has got richer.
Correct.
Corporate CEOs and stuff have gotten richer and richer and richer because they're zooming in. They're saying technology is the key. Man is the enemy. Because if I'd rather spend $20 million on this one piece of machinery because that'll never call in.
Yeah.
I don't have to give it insurance. I don't have to hear its complaints. I don't have to hear its equal rights and none of
somebody
that.
died.
I don't have to hear none of that.
Mhm.
I can buy this machinery. It's going to do what I need it to do. And
Correct.
the government and society is incentivizing CEOs and corporations to be cutthroat like that. But basically, like you said, that's why all the jobs in America got shipped off to China and other places, in Taiwan and Vietnam. Because not to say, hey, this man has a family, made in the USA. Let's make America great again. No, they weren't saying it in that spirit. They were saying it in the spirit of corporate greed.
That's what happened with my grandfather with Armco Steel. He worked for them. He had like 18 to 20 weeks paid vacation. And my grandmother would always say, yeah, and that's why the company's overseas now. But they used to take care of their employees. So
See,
it's a difference.
But that's why when Randy talks about corporate greed, it's important to understand that, from a corporate perspective, if I was in the same situation, I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
But the difference is the loyalty to your employees is just not there anymore.
You think it's because of technology, though? Because technology
is a part of that.
So much more,
Technology is definitely a part
Well,
of that.
I'd ask you this question, a simple question, and I'm not even faulting the CEOs or the corporations necessarily 100% because look at it this way. You're at a position in your life where you can specially order a custom car. You order you a Bugatti. And they say, Mr. Sanders, okay, we have two options here. We can have our personal machinist, John or Rodriguez, whatever,
Custom
design and machine your parts for your car, or you can go the robotic route, where we have a machine that does all the machinist work. It designs, it cuts, and it does everything for the parts for your car. What are you going to go with?
You're going to go with the machine.
You're going to go with the machine because you're going to look at the precision of it.
Precisely.
You're going to say, there's no way that a man could make such precision like this machine can. So that's the way the company looks at it. Hey, I get better precision, better craftsmanship, better whatever through this machine than I can this man. Fine, I get that. But my argument is for the everyday man. Wake up. Understand that the ball has moved.
Yes.
Shit has shifted.
Yes,
Don't sit there and have this 1940s or this 1950s or 60s mentality in a 2020 world. It ain't what it used to be. So don't sit there and think you can set it and forget it with these corporations. Do what they're doing. look at the world and look at technology and say, you know what? How can I let technology work for me?
Right.
I got a phone. I can record myself. I can get on Instagram. I can get on Facebook. I can do this. You know, the barrier to entry to a lot of things have come down due to technology. Just like it did for the corporation, it did the same thing for you. But if you're blinded and you're letting the job, because the job is smart, the job knows that. The job knows that the barrier to entry to a lot of things have gone down. So what do? Hey, oh, you off Wednesday? We're going to need you to cover for John Wednesday. Basically, that takes away your ability and your time to work on something that you're working on. You're constantly here pushing my agenda forward.
Right.
And that's what corporations do. I need you here, focus on my agenda every day. Get this done, get this done, get this done. And then when I do let you go, guess what? There's not enough time left in the day for you to do a damn thing. But go home, eat, take a shower, get your ass up, and come back and do it for me all over again. That's what the everyday person and everyday man and woman has to realize. They got to open their horizon. They got to broaden their horizon. They got to look and say, hey, this is bullshit. Especially if you're unhappy. Now, if you're happy with what you're doing and you're cool with the modern corporation and the job, then so be it. Good luck, sucker. But for the person that is angry, that's frustrated, that's tired of missing their kids' football games, baseball games, ballerina, whatever, you're tired of being away from your family throughout the night, and all these different things that the modern corporation has set into place.
Well, just having a peace of mind.
You got to figure, it didn't used to be this way.
No, it didn't.
See, all this started from a couple greedy CEOs. When Thomas Edison came with the electricity, with the invention of the electric bulb, and they electrified, what they call it, not electrified, that ain't a word, but they shot out electricity throughout America, in the world. What they did before then, pre-then, a man worked sun up to sun down. Whether you were a farmer or whatever you did, when the sun came up, you were out there getting it. And when the sun went down, you went home to your family. So there was some type of connection to the world, to the universe. Say, okay, hey, we're going to work this time and we're going to work this time. There was no such
working
thing
at night and all that other bullshit.
Yeah, when they created the electric light.
Daylight savings with the time.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the, like, if it's dark, you know, there's only so much you can do by candlelight.
Right.
We have whole industries that don't work in nothing.
They work 24/7. They work shift work.
Yeah.
Where basically it doesn't matter what the universe is doing.
Yeah.
We got light.
I got light.
You can bring your ass out here. We can get it done.
I got light.
That's when everything changed. That's when, because there used to be a time where the average man and woman, they were able to sit at home and eat dinner with their family every night because everything shut down.
Yes.
When the weekend came, it shut down. Now it doesn't. Men work on weekends. They work on holidays. They work on. It used to be a time where Christmas rolled around. You were off. You were in the stores. You were spending money. You were shopping. You were spending time with your family. You were secured to have a day or two off after the holiday. You got to enjoy the true things of life. And that's my point. People have gotten so far away from the true meaning of life and the happiness of life.
That's true.
Happiness of life is your kids. Because when your kid is only 5 years old one time, once you miss it, it's gone. It'll never come back again. You know, and that goes for every other age. That goes for they're only in middle school or 7th grade one time. Well, I was in there 2 times. But the average child is only in 7th grade one time.
I remember, G Rodney.
Exactly. So you fail. But the point of it is that certain things in life only happen one time, and you'll never get them back. And if you let a company work you to death for their greater good, and what's the cold part about it? That CEO that's setting those rules or that's putting all these things in place, he's not abiding by them.
He don't abide by them.
He don't abide by them. He's not working weekends. He's not doing all this shit no more.
I recognize what Rodney says as it's very important because, again, you see, the onus that I put on it is it's with the people who provide the jobs. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, a person who, you know, even like you say, 40, 50, 60, 100 years ago, whatever it was, they didn't have the ability to work 24 hours. So now, due to whatever technological innovation, you have that ability. But the company that you work for, you know what I'm saying? When they get to the point where they put profits above the
People,
yeah,
employee humanity,
when they get to that point,
they're robbing you.
Yeah.
that's a fucked up point.
They're robbing you. That's what the average person
That's
doesn't
a fucked
realize.
up point.
The company in the modern corporation is robbing you.
Yeah, of your life.
They're robbing you of your life.
Yeah.
They're robbing you of your time. And that's the
That's
most
the one thing you can't get
critical
back.
thing
You cannot get
that
your
they're
time
giving.
back.
And any rich person will tell you, you will never get rich making money by the hour.
Mm,
You can't, because time's gonna run out. It's only 24 hours in a day.
correct.
So you have to figure out a way to multiply yourself. And you can't multiply. If you gotta physically be there to make the money, you're limited. If it's one me, they gotta be there to make $25 an hour or $30 an hour. And when I'm there, I have to focus on your agenda the whole time that I'm there. And what do? You extend the time.
Yep.
It ain't good enough for me to be here 8 hours. It ain't good enough for me to be here 10 hours.
12.
I gotta be here 12 hours, sometimes 16
The legal
hours.
legal limit of what it is that you can do. And see, that's what I'm saying. Corporations, that's what makes them pieces of shit at the end of the day, because it's like you get to a point where the interest of the, and I understand, the interest of the corporation does reign
Shareholders.
supreme. Yeah, shareholders and all of that, but I work for you.